We'll go back to Florida. Ms. Cammack for 5 minutes.
Can y'all hear me?
You got you.
Woo! Val's laughing. Oh, man. Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. And good to see you again, Administrator Criswell. I'm going to jump right in on questions because I've got a lot and I don't think I'll be able to make it through them all. So going to start with the first question being your FEMA all hands on deck meeting. You identified employee burnout as one of the major issues, and we talked about that last week. You had mentioned the importance of workforce readiness in your testimony, and then again when we were chatting on Friday. Now, I had asked this question to Secretary Mayorkas a couple weeks ago, and again several months ago, and I'm just kind of looking for some clarity on this. When I had asked if FEMA had the resources that it needs to effectively respond to the pandemic, the border crisis, and upcoming storm season at that point, he had stated that FEMA had every resource that it needed in order to do that. Do you agree with the Secretary's assessment that FEMA is not in need of any additional resources?
So as we prepare for this season, we have the resources that we need to support the ongoing responses that we're currently running as well as what we expect. I think as we discussed, and we're seeing this year-round response to disasters and new emerging threats, we're doing an assessment to see how we can better prepare and have a stronger readiness cycle that gives our employees more opportunities for rest and reset, so they're not deployed so much continuously.
Okay. So just to summarize, yes, FEMA has all the resources that it needs to do the job, the workforce, everything, personnel, border crisis, pandemic, incoming Delta variant, tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfire season, everything.
I believe that we are well postured to support that. We do have a request for additional resources in our fiscal year 22 budget as well to help increase that readiness capability.
Okay. Now, you guys are seeing the distribution of $2 billion in COVID-19 related funeral assistance. And this is the largest funeral assistance program that FEMA has ever handled. And as of June 28th, approximately $447 million has already been distributed to 66,000, almost 67,000 people. Now, what are we doing to make sure that the aid gets to those that are truly in need in this very tough situation, and that there aren't bad actors that are working to exploit the system?
The funeral assistance program is truly unprecedented. It is on a scale like nothing that we have done before. And as we were putting our plan in place for how we were going to roll this program out, we knew that there was going to be a lot of opportunities for fraud. And so we did put measures in place to help reduce the potential for fraud. And we're seeing very low incidence right now of fraudulent claims. I would say one of the things that we are doing to make sure that everybody gets assistance as well is they're registering through the 1-800 number directly. That also helps to reduce fraud by not going online, but then we have personnel that are talking to individuals and helping them work through the paperwork requirements to provide the documentation needed to get that assistance.
Is there any follow-up from FEMA once the applicants go through the process to just kind of a trust but verify?
Yeah, I mean, that is part of the process, right? So as an individual calls the 1-800 number to get assistance, we work with them to get the appropriate paperwork. We verify that paperwork to make sure that it's authentic, and then work with them to get any additional resources or any additional paperwork they need until they finally get their claim settled.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And something else that I had asked Secretary Mayorkas a couple of weeks ago that he was going to, I think, ask you about was the emergency food and shelter program that FEMA has. So I've been to the border a couple of times this year, and I have actually been on a plane where I recognized the migrants that we had picked up with Border Patrol in the days leading up to my flight. Now, it's my understanding that the emergency food and shelter program that FEMA has been supporting the travel costs for these migrants. How much of this program has been expended on migrant travel?
As you stated, the Emergency Food and Shelter Program is a grant program available through FEMA for non-disaster related expenses. I don't have the specific information. I am aware of the flight that you mentioned. I don't have the specific information about the costs that were spent, but it is something that is eligible through this program as it's administered by the local volunteer agencies.
Could you follow up, because I know my time has expired, could you follow up with me on the total number of dollars that have been expended on migrant travel this year?
We will certainly follow up on that, and I would just add that Congress did appropriate $110 million for this program to assist.
All right,
No,
thank
ladies,
you.
time
With
has
that,
expired.